It's the day of days, aka Patters. So I do deep dives around movies. We got Jurassic World 4, Jurassic World Rebirth, the beginning of what they're calling I believe it's a new trilogy. we always hear the same things when these movies come out. It's a return to the characters and the situation and the horror of the original, right? Not that any of the other Jurassic movies didn't have giant, mindless creatures eating people. That's not horrible enough. It needs to be more horror. So here's the wild thing. I spent the last week, and we got two or three upcoming podcast episodes. Look for those at 9 p.m. But it's AKAPAD, the Film Buff Podcast. 9 p.m. They'll be available on this feed, on the YouTube feed. We have Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic Park Dominion. My opinions on these movies are not status quo. My opinions on Jurassic Park Lost World is not status quo. But this is what we're talking about today. The making of Lost World Jurassic Park. Something has survived by Jody Duncan. Previously, Jody Duncan. Well, my sister bought me this. We talked about this a while ago. When I did this video, the video on making of Jurassic Park, this is kind of kickstarted Saturday presentations or Saturday showcases. The reason for that is I wanted to just let you guys see what inspired me so much. My sister bought this with leftover money she had for college books, and they must have had this in the college bookstore. And she comes home and she just like gives it to me, and I really, outside of like Batman 1989, I never had a book like this. And the artistry, I never anticipated, number one, that like inside of a film production you would get like, guys doing cartoons just to riff on each other. That the storyboards here, like, were so exact and dead on to what we got on screen. And then a lot of the other stuff that shook me was the production artwork with the markers, the marker production artwork. Let me show you here. Stuff like this. Like, to this day, right? Like, I'm obsessed with chisel prism markers, Prismacolor markers for that reason, right? Like, this is all marker here. Now, some of it might have been penciled and they could photocopy it on a different type of paper. So, like the darks are already there and then you don't get smearing. So there's techniques like that. But in this new upcoming movie, right? And this production artwork is used so much around. But this is the raft scene with the swimming T-Rex that's from the book that we heard about since 1993, right? Since 1993. We've heard about this potentially being, 93, potentially being in the movie. Thank God in Jurassic World Rebirth, we have this scene. Thank you. But yeah, like really just crazy looking. It blew me away. I couldn't fathom that a film production would go so hard into the artistry part, and then these amazing black and white pencil drawings. So this making of Jurassic Park, Jody Duncan, Don Shea, absolutely transformative. I mentioned earlier I have an unconventional opinion on Jurassic World, because here's the thing. This movie was an absolute disappointment out of the gate. A lot of people put this one as the second best Jurassic Park. Isn't that crazy? The second best Jurassic Park is Jurassic World by far. And then it's just a taste level on the way down. Something always bothered me with this movie, right? It's the ending. It's the San Francisco ending. It's just, right? So in the beginning here, they kind of talk about Steven Spielberg almost not coming out of retirement, but he was on this hiatus So everyone meets up for a little bit of a production meeting at a restaurant that Spielberg co-owns, and I believe it was called, yeah, Century City's Dive. So I remember Steven Spielberg had like an interactive arcade. The name for that escapes me, and Dive at this time, and you knew this if you watched Entertainment Tonight, if you read like Premiere Magazine, one or two other of the entertainment shows. They would have segments on this stuff. But Steven Spielberg, right? Like, he conquered Hollywood, got the Oscar with Schindler's List, and then there was like Tiny Toons, Animaniacs. The '90s Steven Spielberg, in my opinion, far, far, far outweighs the '80s Steven Spielberg. But here we go. He peaked in the '90s, but he comes out of hiatus, and they talk about that here. And yeah, they again, like, some beautiful production artwork. So Michael Crichton is like completing his manuscript for Jurassic Park Lost World as Steven Spielberg is like taking a break. And then once he knew it was finished, Spielberg signs on, and they start to get the team back together. Stay in Winston. The lab complex with the Parasaurus heard in the foreground as envisioned by the art department. The lab evolved through a variety of designs before a final look was established. So, like, yeah, this is the lab. Depiction of the scene in which the Hunter's base camp is destroyed. Okay, yeah, we remember that. So a lot of the things that we see in the movie are there. Like, they're there to herd, capture, and to bring in the animals. That's a part of Lost World. That sequence, too, by the way, is still one of the best sequences in all of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. But, I mean, how cool are these miniatures? Right? And then this is where the girl, Ian's daughter, fights off a raptor. But, you know, we get this stuff here. Like, trapped, tied up T-Rex. You know, like with a wooden stake, with a cartoon stake and a chain. But then, like, you know, we get this, like, I think this was a cut scene. Like, the team ascending into the burned down laboratory. Artist renderings of the raptor chase through the workers' village. So this is like the workers' village. So that's like abandoned. So I think some of the topography and logistics of the locations in Jurassic World get lost when you go through this book. But again, too, like, we're bringing like the baby Stegosaurus. Again, like, same type of penciled artwork. And we're moving towards the big sequence, which is why I brought it up. The San Francisco sequence with the T-Rex in the streets fighting a bus, right? So, but anyway, like, beautiful. Look at this colored penciled artwork here. Amazing texture. So I get these. I really just get these for the artwork. I want more education, like here, like just seeing the people at work. Right. McCreary at work on the pencil sketch. Isn't that crazy? So McCreary does this. He does this. So they can do this. Right? And he is, there you go. Like, goofy guy with a pencil. Like, the sculptors get more of a highlight than the guy putting it down on paper. But yeah. See, we get the Jurassic Park mommy. So this is like another sequence that they cut or modified where, one of the guys ends up in the T-Rex den, so to speak, and the mommy and daddy show up. But again, too, like the herding sequence, and then, you know, we get the brontosauruses in a slightly different environment, not so tropical looking there. So, like, you get deviations, but then, like, expansions to all these things that we like from the first movie. which is again too we like seeing the herbivores grazing. We just do. There's something with that we're connected to, and it could be like an ancestral DNA thing. Who the heck knows? But look at the rendering for this raptor in this hallway, and there, look, someone is hanging out to get eaten, and they don't give you any info. And these here too, these are early Photoshop renderings too. This is what you could do. Like, this was high end, the best in the world Photoshop technique here back in the day. I dare I say a lot of people are still struggling to get that good. See, I like the scale stuff. People making the movie measuring up against the height of the dinosaurs. So we already don't see a lot of stuff in here that we kind of saw in the making of. And I will always lean into it because it's impactful. Like the art department cartoon drawings. Like, this is a riotous raptors. Because they're making fun of the LA riots. And they gave this raptor Jordans and a do-rag. Very racist right there. I say that in jest, but again, like quick storyboards. We know how we did this here, right? We just erase. We can erase the pencil and then, blast it with some white out. Make it come through a little bit more. I mean, nice, look, nice vehicle. The vehicle stuff too. So some of this too is like, you kind of want to say, with all the toys and like all these, the way how Jurassic Park and Jurassic World has been merchandised, you think there would be a range of action figure vehicles. Just imagine to do what these are doing. Like just expand on these and just go crazy. But there's not a lot of standout, even back during the Kenner days. Like, there's not. I mean, some of these just look at that. With the, with the spare tire right there. Or that might not even be, that might be for climbing. Like, who knows? I love it. But again, too, like, see, hunting down the baby T-Rex. So, like, that was a little bit of a plot point from early on. That the, I want to say Hatari, right? That's the John Wayne movie. But the herders, the people who are there to capture the creatures, and their remake. So this is where Jurassic World, like, Lost World leads into Jurassic World. With, like, the vision of this. And I think this is, like, very clear in the movie. And I think there's those scenes that make Jurassic World way more entertaining. Like, the first 30 minutes of Jurassic World is what they're pitching in this movie. I mean, guys, Vince Vaughn, super young, hot guy at the time, Julianne Moore, again, like, young Hollywood right here. And then, we get Malcolm back. Like, maybe no one could fathom that Malcolm's daughter was African American. No one could fathom that. And that was almost like the beginning, right? Because I think, didn't Spielberg adopt an African American daughter that became an OnlyFans girl, I think? And then here we go. So I'll be right back, AKAPADers. I hear someone at my door. I am expecting something to get dropped off. I'll be right back. Busy world. It's a busy world. Cheers to productivity. That was actually a different type of drop off. That was actually one of our delivery guys that the front desk told him to come up to drop something off because I had to get signed for. So, anyway, so here it is, AKAPADers. Pterodactyls, right? This was the original vision of how they wanted to wrap this movie up. They wanted this giant helicopter pterodactyl sequence. And they talked themselves out of it. They thought that the audience would want the T-Rex in San Francisco instead. Again, too, some of those fantastic vehicle designs. We get a little bit more. So from this point on, we're going to dry up a little bit on the artwork. Again, hauling the T-Rex to San Francisco. Finally, Godzilla gets green light. Because there was a little bit of a rivalry between Jurassic Park and Godzilla, believe it or not. A lot of crap talking. But yeah, it would be nice if we had more cartoons. So from here, we get like this recycling of a couple sequences. We see this awesome, like that's a great gag there. I forget the one with the skull head. Right, like there's a scene, during this scene, if you guys want to rewatch it, what it's not Dilophosaurus, is it? Oh, I can't find it right here. It doesn't say. So one of these like hits the car or the vehicle, and you know, if I can get this, if I can get back to the vehicle. Oh my god, I didn't realize I was that far. But it hits like one of these, right? And the guy shoots out on the other end. It's such a like Warner Brothers or early Disney Silly Symphonies gag, and it's so funny when you see it in live action. But also too, like we get this, like, you know, when they're during. So this book doesn't do a great job with keeping the sequences together, because those military guys that we saw here, when they're raiding the workers' village, right? Like this is a part of that scene. So you got to do a lot of back and forth. But that herding scene that I told you about earlier, look how nicely detailed the storyboards are. And dare I say, a lot of, like, again, too, like using animation to pre-visualize. I want to say a lot of the bigger work that we see in here is in the first half of the movie. The more we get into the movie that we know, the less production work we see. And look at some of, right, the practical with the CG. Again, visualizing, and the reason for that, excuse me, is a little bit crazy. It's because also I love the trailer sequence, which is again like a nice detail here, lots of storyboards. Look at the rail and the tracks that this thing's on. This sequence is awesome. When Julianne Moore is on the glass and the glass starts to crack, how many times has that gag been used? See, but what people don't like is like the reasoning for it, right? Like her splintering the baby T-Rex's leg and stuff like that, while the other guy gets eaten alive. But see, and then we have the hunting sequence from the mercenaries village. Like, and this sequence is awesome, where you see guys go down and the raptor tail like goes up. Like peak Spielberg, like this stuff here. You see just them like making their way, heading towards. So this is where the movie kind of breaks, right? And we get less and less production artwork because they were in mid-production when they cut this scene, the pterodactyl scene. So like they're doing all of this, right? And all of this is pre-visualized, and they have their sequences, and like or dislike Malcolm's daughter. The movie kind of like, even just talking about it, like it works, and then immediately it just doesn't, which is where we get into the practical world. And here we just see like more of these guys working. But look, there's not much on the later end of the movie, because they even talk about Dennis Muren talks about it here, where they were literally in one direction, and then they had like weeks to go into the other direction with their like time to shoot, time to previs, all of it. So a lot of it, excuse me, a lot of Jurassic World or Jurassic Park Lost World, was kind of like rushed together, but they thought it was worth it because they thought they were making the right decisions. And a lot of times these guys are like, well, like you don't have like a lot of time for like the bus sequence. We have to like figure this out. That's and this book, in my view, perfectly illustrates that. Because like, look, if this is a little bit of a timeline too, look how deep into the movie they were. Look what they were planning, right? And then look at how much more time that they had to complete the movie. And then a lot of the sequences that we see here are not in the movie. It's interesting, but guys, like, beautiful artwork. To look at those yellow highlights, hot looking stuff. All right, AKAPADers, you guys know it. I love, and be on the lookout. We're doing Jurassic Park on the podcast all next week. Get ready.